Right, it is 2 after, so we'll go ahead and get started. No worries if anyone actually does show up super late. We will be recording the whole session, which something we'll get into quickly. So welcome to the Ana information session. Thank you all for attending. I'm really excited to talk you through the improvements that we've been making over the past couple of quarters now. So let's dive into the agenda. We're covering a lot today. We are going to be covering it fairly quickly, but don't worry, I mentioned it's going to be recorded. You'll get the recording and the slide deck in an email later today or tomorrow. So no worries, you can just sit and absorb and be delighted, and then everything is already written down for you. So we're going to be running through some quick Ana statistics, talk about a recent Ana survey that we ran with some of our Ana partners. So if you're a returning partner, like you've used Ana with Upswing in the past, this will be relevant to your actual students. And if you're a newer prospective Ana user, this gives you sort of insight into some of the information we might be able to give you going forward. We're also going to talk through a new Ana process. We've streamlined a lot of things to make it easier on you, the admin. We're going to talk through all of those, including creating and improving the Ana message plan, which are the messages that your students will actually receive throughout the year from Ana. We're also going to talk about how Ana supports your students, how we connect your students to Ana, and then probably one of most people's favorite things, how you can view your own Ana data. And then we'll wrap up with some next steps. Before we get into all of that, I want to tell you about who I have with me today. My name is Emily Myers. I am Upswing's product operations specialist, and I'll be talking you through the changes that our Ana team has been making over the past couple of quarters. With me, I have 2 members of our support team, Addie and Zoe, and our content writer, Dylan. The 3 of them are in the chat. So if you have questions, feel free to drop those in. We will have space at the end for a little bit of time for questions, but feel free to go ahead and drop those in. If they can answer them, that way they will. So always good to start at the beginning. Let's make sure everyone knows about Ana. So Ana is a virtual texting assistant that provides information and on-demand support to students. So what does that mean? Ana is connecting students with resources that could be on or off campus. Ana provides information about upcoming events, deadlines, things like that. And then finally, Ana ensures there's a direct link to someone on campus that can help. If all other options are exhausted, we want to have someone to send them to. So Ana is helpful in that way as well. Statistics. First, I want to talk about the overall lifetime since Ana's inception. Ana has sent just under 6 million messages to students. I have to say, I've been working with Ana for almost 3 years now, goodness, and this number was still a surprise to me. So I wanted to highlight that Ana has huge reach, tons of messages sent out. And then also lifetime, we've had just under 260,000 students message back in, or messages sent via students back in. So that means we probably are providing helpful resources, but then also students feel like they can reach out, which we love that. We love to see it. And then over time, looking at all the students that have received Ana messages, 32% of them have responded. So that's pretty great as well. However, all of this is all time. What's happening right now? Let's talk about that survey that I mentioned earlier. This past semester, the spring 23 semester, we sent out the following message. Hey, it's Ana. Before I power down for the summer, I wanted to ask, are you coming back to school next fall? They said yes. We gathered additional information about whether or not they found Ana helpful throughout the school year. And if they said no, we gathered information about what the student is doing next, why they're not coming back to school, and the results. So if students said they were returning in the fall, 86.8, almost 87% of them said that Ana was helpful, which is great. That means our message plan is providing the types of resources that your students need. There were an additional 10.5 that mentioned they didn't actually need any help. And then there was 2.7% who mentioned they would have liked to get different resources. And I'm gonna put a pin in that because we will come back to it, but it's pretty good. 2.7% means we're providing what students need. Of students who responded they weren't returning in the fall, almost 6% of them were graduating, which that's an incredible achievement, and Anna congratulated them because they should be proud of that. There were 30.5% that didn't need contact, but they weren't returning. And then there were 4%, which works out to be 74 students who weren't returning for something else and did want help from an administrator. So that might have been, oh, I am not returning because I didn't get my financial aid approved. So we connected them to the administrator and hopefully they can get that worked out. That's another example of, hey, we needed to escalate that, and we did. So all the great metrics, we love that. Now, what are we improving? Let's talk about the process. First, always want to talk about the why. So why changes are being implemented. We've had responses from administrators in surveys that we've run out. A couple of pain points. One, our previous process was a very heavy lift on administrators. We were asking you to do a lot of the work, and we heard you. That's not sustainable. We're here to help, so we're restructuring so that we can take on that work, and then you can do other things. And then the second thing that we wanted to change with this process was there were a few meetings that were poorly timed within the semester framework. Previously, we would meet once in the summer for the fall semester and then once in the winter for the spring semester. But as I'm sure you all know, trying to have meetings around finals in the fall in December is not gonna work. So that's another pain point that we are solving with this. So a couple of goals for the new process, other than what I've already mentioned. One, we're improving the process speed. Two, we're reducing that process lift. And then three, finally, we're always focusing further on helping your students. So continuing to refine the messages that we're sending, which I'll also get into a bit later. So that is why this webinar is happening. We have a great chunk of time to review all the changes and give you transparency into the process, just so you know what's happening. All right, this is the exciting slide, one of the exciting slides. First, I want to give a high-level overview of what the process looks like, and I'll be breaking down each of these points in future slides. So this is going to be very high-level overview. First, on the Upswing side, we create a base message plan. Then we adjust that message plan to each partner institution, which I'll talk about later. We get message plan approval, and on this step, I want to call out the asterisk. That is the first place that you are needed to give action. Previously, administrators had to be involved earlier in the process, more meetings, more emails. Who wants that? So we're condensing all of that, condensing all of our questions for you into one, not even meeting, just an email. Second thing that we need your help with is gathering lists. So we need to know who we're sending messages to. This could be handled by the administrator, could be handled by an IT contact, but those are the two pieces that we need from you. And then we can launch. The other thing that I want to call out here is something that I alluded to earlier. This is going to cover both the fall and spring semesters. So that is a huge change. Previously, we've only done a semester at a time, but that creates more meetings, that creates more stress with calendars. So we're removing all of those, and you're doing the message plan review and approval in one step for the whole academic year. Check it off your list and you're done. So diving into the details of those little dots. Message plan creation and adjustment. The base message plan is created at 13 messages per semester with the option to add 3 additional messages per semester if you'd like, which I'll get into in a second. As I've mentioned before, we are improving messages year over year. So we're always reviewing previous message engagement, reviewing the types of messages that students request the most, and looking at surveys. Once we have our base message plan, we're happy with it. It's covering themes that your students need help with. Then we adjust for the partner institution. So what does that mean? We add in links to resources from your institution that your students need. And biggest thing, we adjust for your academic calendar. So of course, we don't want to send a message about midterms 2 weeks after midterms. So we want to make sure that it all lines up. So all of that work is already done. By the time you get the message plan, it will contain themes that your students need. It's lined up for all the resources on your campus, and it matches your academic calendar. So the first asterisk, message plan review. You can read over the message plan by yourself or with your hero. And another one of the exciting things is you're going to get this later today, like within the next couple of hours, you'll be able to see your 2023-2024 academic school year Ana message plan, which I'm very excited about. I love it. The Ana team has been hard at work over the past several months on it, and it's beautiful. As I mentioned earlier, you definitely can provide comments for minor adjustments, but it's already been customized for your institution and optimized based on data. So you shouldn't need to add much. The templated messages, the 3 optional that I mentioned earlier, let's talk through that. So this is a great space to advertise something that we haven't called out in the message plan. For example, some of our partners like to highlight graduation applications. We don't highlight that in the message plan this year. So if you want to, great, we have space for that. Also, another great improvement related to this is we have a form. No worries, you don't have to like write a whole message, you just have to fill out a form. So you'll be receiving this link in the same email with the message plan. You'll also be getting the password that you need to access this. Here's our form. The nice thing about this form, there are several nice things. The first nice thing that I want to point out about this form is you only see the fields that you need to fill out. So let's say, oh, we need to figure out what type of form we want to fill out. We also have a template reference. So let's say the example that I mentioned earlier, the graduation application reminder, then that is going to be a deadline, probably. Great. Okay, so you can see there's a section for required fields. It explains everything in the Airtable form that we just looked at, explains what that actually means, gives you a view of what the message template looks like, and then a couple of examples. So, oh yeah, of course, beautiful. I did pick the right one because Upswing has this graduation application already as an example. So that's a great thing to check out too. If you're not sure what they are, the examples are great. So awesome, I've confirmed that upcoming deadline is the one I want to use. Then down here, I can select upcoming deadline. And instead of getting a huge form to fill out, I just have only the information I need. So, great. Graduation application, Smarter College is our Upswing College. So we're sending it from Smarter College, sending it in fall, upcoming deadline. That's going to need to be sent on this date. So this is great. You can give details, you can give an example. Let's say our URL is going to be just Smarter College application. So I've filled everything out. It's beautiful. Click submit. And that's done. That's sent off to the Ana team. If you'd like another one, then you just click submit another response, reloads the form, you're good to go. Simple as pie. Do keep in mind, you'll have the option to do 3 of these per semester. And yeah, absolutely reach out to your hero if you have any questions. They're happy to also talk you through it. And the last thing I want to mention about those templated messages, if you don't need them, you look at the adjusted message plan and you're like, oh, this covers everything I needed. Beautiful. You don't need to add them. You just need to message your hero back, say, yes, it's beautiful, I approve, send that to my students, and you're done. So last thing here, approval deadlines. We do have a preferred deadline of August 10th. And the reason we want your approval by August 10th is because we want to be able to match as closely as possible the academic semester. So having that approval by August 10th means we will be able to send all of the messages to your students and they'll be getting the most benefit out of Ana. However, sometimes things come up. We totally get that. You're still able to send us approval by September 15th, but then after that, unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to send messages because the message plan would be so condensed at that point, Ana would not be able to truly assist your students. There can be exceptions that are made, but that is very, very one-off basis. If you have questions, please talk to your hero. They're happy to help. All right, let's talk about some Ana resources for you, the administrator. This is also new. We have an Ana resources page. And I just want to take a quick second to look at it. This is an excellent page to have bookmarked. It has all of the data that I have just mentioned in terms of timelines, in terms of template types, and it's actually going to have a link to this recording once it's done and the slide deck as well. So definitely have this bookmarked. As I mentioned, it's got the timelines. It has types of messages that Ana sends. It has the template types that I just went through, the submission form, and some additional information, some things I'll cover later in this talk as well. So definitely bookmark that. It's a great resource. Absolutely want to keep that in your Upswing Ana folder. All right, pivoting a little to talk about how Ana supports your students. First, I want to talk through the creation of frequently asked questions and our Hey Ana tree. So first, we have an internal database that's used by our support team to make sure that Ana can provide both quick and accurate responses to frequently asked questions from students at your partner institution. So these are fully created in-house by our Ana team, and they're per partner institution. We check your website for a ton of questions, and if we can't find answers, we have the hero reach out to you directly because we want to ensure that we are giving your students the right answer the first time. We update these annually, typically in the summer or on an as-needed basis. So for example, if your institution is updating your website, we would want to go through and make sure that our information matches your information. The next thing that I want to mention is our Hey Ana tree. So students that are subscribed to Ana, AKA the ones on the list that you will send us shortly. This tree is something students can receive when they text Ana, Hey Ana. It's designed to answer students' most common questions, and it is always available. So if it's 3:30 in the morning and I'm a student at Smarter College and I want to ask a question about, how do I contact the registrar? I can text Hey Ana, follow the tree, and get that information without needing to wait, without needing to check in with a human. It's all automated. The next thing that I wanted to talk through is escalations. So because we're messaging students, we're messaging humans, and humans have situations that come up. That's just life. So we do have messages that could be concerning. We call them escalations internally at Upswing. This could include self-harm, reported harm to others. It could include food or housing insecurity, dropout risks, unresponsive advisor, et cetera, et cetera. Anything that causes a student major distress is something that we consider an escalation and would be communicated to you. So when we receive messages that we consider escalations, we do three things. We always respond with empathy to the student. We communicate the situation to the admin, you, or if the admin has designated, oh, I want to send them directly to the counseling center or a specific mental health admin at the institution, we can do that as well. So if you have specific routes, contact your hero. They're happy to update our information. Then the last thing that we do is we provide the student resources as needed. Transitioning again, talking about data. So the fourth point on that timeline from earlier, sending student data to Upswing. So the first thing I want to mention is the SFTP mailbox. We've had this previously, but we're just bringing it up again because it's a great point. For anyone who's not familiar, SFTP stands for Secure File Transfer Protocol, but you can think of it as basically a secure Dropbox for data. So what we like is to be able to get student data, those student lists, via that Dropbox so that we can protect your students' information. Email is not always super secure, so we do recommend using that mailbox. Everyone who's a current Ana partner does have one set up. If you aren't sure if you have the login information or you'd like a quick walkthrough, please contact your hero. They're more than happy to help, send you a quick little video of how to do it. The second thing is we have new templates to make sending and compiling the student data a lot easier. And that will also be attached to an email you get later today. As I mentioned earlier, the deadlines are the same. You're busy, you have a lot on your to-do list. We don't want to give you multiple dates. So really, the one date I want to post-it note in your brain after this session is August 10th. And then, as I mentioned before, of course, student lists are a little more challenging to get. So we do still have that September 15th date. So post-it noting that. All right, another improvement. Gosh, we just made so many improvements. I'm so glad we finally get to share them with you all. We've been working really hard over the last couple quarters. So we wanted to streamline the process for students connecting to Ana. The way they were doing that is we're implementing one Ana phone number per partner institution. Previously, the industry standard was a set number of students or a set number of users could receive messages from one phone number, but that has been changed by the industry. And so we're updating everything to be in line with that and to make things way easier for your students. We're implementing this beginning the fall semester, so in a couple of weeks, and you don't need to do anything. It's just an improvement, an easy win, no changes needed. The next thing that I wanted to mention is we've created Ana's archives. So our Ana team has worked incredibly hard to put together this beautiful resource for students that is linked within your message plan as needed. So your students are going to have access to this. This is another resource that is available constantly. Obviously, you don't need a human to get you access to this. Once you have the link, bookmark it and you're good to go. So this breaks down just a ton of information, a wealth of resources from food assistance to networking, mental health. I know I'm going to click into time management. I don't know about everyone else, but I could always stand to learn more about time management. And I can see that, oh, Ana recommends a ton of time management techniques and some focus and organization apps and articles and things. So all of these, everything on this Ana's archives is Ana approved. It's going to be helpful for college students of all types. Would highly recommend browsing through if you're interested. It's beautiful. I love it. That is also linked. So you'll have that link with the slides as well. All right, viewing Ana data within your dashboard. So each Ana partner has access to a specific Ana dashboard that contains your information about your students. Things that you need a specific URL to access the dashboard, and then you'll need a password. You can get both of those from your hero. And I mentioned Smarter College earlier. Of course, Smarter College has a dashboard. So I want to show that off a little. It's got similar information as I mentioned earlier from the all-time Ana numbers, but this time you'll be able to see it for your institution. You can also see campaigns sent, what was sent, which you've already seen them because you will have approved the message plan, but it's just nice to see, oh, how many students received the campaign, all of that. You can also see responses. You'll be able to see students that had unsubscribed. Obviously, no one from Smarter College has unsubscribed because we all want to hear from Ana, but it's not a real world scenario, of course. And then you can see how our Hey Ana tree is doing. This is how we calibrate each Hey Ana tree's organization, how we know what to build out is, hey, maybe we need to take a look at the rest of the tree because 33% of Smarter College students had a question that they didn't see an immediate answer to. So that's another thing that we do every summer as well, is trying to make sure that I have a question box is as small as possible and building out the rest of the resources. So that's another thing that we're improving year over year. You can also see just all conversations. It's amazing. I love this dashboard. The last thing I want to point out is that if you click up in here into filters, you can select a different range. So let's say instead of the last academic year, you want to see just the last 180 days. You'd click that, click apply, and then everything will reload. So you'll have more information or more precise information to that filter. And then also, I wanted to mention, we do have an article for detailed instructions on how to use it. I just hit on all the high points, but if you want to know how to download data, if you want to know how to search data, etc., we have a great article about that as well. And that is linked in this slide in the deck that you'll get later today. All right. I know this has been a lot of information. Thank you for hanging with me. Let's talk about next steps, the important bits you need to remember. Today, you'll be receiving your message plan. Just a reminder, you can go ahead and review it on your own, or if you want to grab time in a touch point with your hero, you could do that as well. And then you'll be providing approval to your hero by the date listed above. Same thing with the student lists. You'll be sending those via the SFTP server. Again, feel free to contact your hero with any questions. They're happy to help. And those deadlines, one more time, we have the preferred deadline of August 10th, and then the final deadline of September 15th. Any questions? Now is when I check the chat for the first time. Let's see. Cool, looks like we haven't had any questions. We'll hang out. I'm gonna just be here for a little bit, but thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Our heroes would love to hear feedback on the presentation, the new process. We will be sending out those emails that I mentioned earlier, but yeah, feel free to ask questions, or I can give you guys some time back today. And we'll probably hang out for another couple of minutes for my panelists, and then I can give y'all time back today too. Yeah, we're looking forward to sending it. I know this has been a challenging, at least the past month has been challenging because we're all very excited about everything that's happening in Upswing, but we haven't been ready to share it yet. So internally, we've been having a little bit of a celebration that we get to share it, because I think you're all gonna love it. Great, all right. That's awesome. I love that it's been a good session. Doesn't seem like we have questions, which is great. It means we covered things, but no worries. If you think of something in an hour or a couple of days, message your hero. They're happy to help. So I'll go ahead and close it out. Thank you again, and we'll see you all soon.